The clips that you see in the background right now are clips of me using the Xraypad Aqua Control Plus, specifically the Black Wave edition, which is the one that I've probably used the most. The Aqua Control Plus has always been a very special mousepad for me. It's been a mousepad that I've bought numerous times in different editions, ranging from Strata, which was my absolute first Aqua Control Plus, to Blackfly, and then now Black Wave, which was a version of the mousepad that improved upon some of the issues that the old version had. That being said, the Aqua Control Plus still had its issues. It was abrasive, it didn't handle sweat very well, and the rubber base is one of the worst I've ever used on any mousepad. And yet somehow, I managed to main this mousepad for a year. So now that Xraypad kindly sent out a bundle, including a mousepad, the Ace Control Random Frank P edition, I was obviously very, very excited. I was excited to try out a mousepad that might take all of the problems that I had with the Aqua Control Plus and fix them. So, did they actually get fixed? Well, the short answer is no, it did not. As a matter of fact, this mousepad is probably the most frustrating mousepad release and one of the most frustrating products I have ever used in the history of gaming peripherals. Not because it's absolutely horrible, but because it's so close to being an amazing mousepad that it just kind of annoys me. So let's get into it. The rest of the gameplay that you see is me using the Ace Control in a deathmatch, a Cybershock deathmatch lobby. Let's begin with something simple: the unboxing experience and the specs of the mousepad. For the unboxing, it was very simple. It comes in a rectangular box shape, and the mousepad is rolled up pretty nicely inside. But despite it being rolled up instead of laying flat like a lot of newer mousepad releases, it came out pretty flat the moment I put it on my desk, so that was really nice to see. Now, as for the specifications, the pad comes in a different variety of sizes, from large, which is 36 by 30 centimeters, to extra large, which is 90 by 40 centimeters. I personally chose the square variant, which is 50 by 50 centimeters, which is the closest to my current 49 by 42 centimeters Lethal Gaming Gear Saturn Pro, which I currently main. It features stitched edges that are below the mousepad, below the surface of the mousepad, so even better than the new version of the Aqua Control Plus. And then it features a rubber base to prevent it from slipping, but I will be getting into that later. So let's start out with the good things about this mousepad. I want to highlight the feel of the glide of this mousepad. It really lives up to its name, having a very controlled surface with really good stopping power without it feeling sluggish. I could still turn around comfortably without it feeling like a drag to do so, and I felt like it helped a lot with static clicking and static switching scenarios in Kovacs and AimLab, as well as flicking in titles like Valorant and CS2. On top of that, the pad still feels fast enough that games like Apex, Finals, Overwatch, they don't feel sluggish to play. The same with other indie titles. If I play a game like Repo or Lethal Company, something more fun and casual, the mousepad still feels good to use. All in all, I think the mousepad just feels really, really nice. And another thing that I want to highlight, this is one of the best improvements if you just go from the Aqua Control Plus straight to this pad, the skin feel. This pad feels very, very nice to the skin. It has a slight texture, so it's not the smoothest pad in the world, but it still feels smoother than my current main. By a hair, not that much, but it feels smoother for sure. And it feels smooth enough that it doesn't feel abrasive at all. Doesn't feel like I am grinding on something, and it doesn't feel like I'm grinding on sandpaper when I am flicking or moving the mouse around. Really, really nice. But that's where the nice stuff ends about this mousepad. So now we are getting into the reason why I find this mousepad to be such a frustrating mousepad to use. Let's start by going back to the skin feel and the glide. As I said literally moments ago, it feels really, really great. I love the glide, I love the control, I love the softness of the mousepad, I love the stability it gives you when you are stopping a flick. It is absolutely wonderful. However, all of these amazing things that this mousepad has to offer is completely counteracted and completely nullified by two very, very big and super, super annoying issues. The sweat resistance, or the lack thereof, and the abominable rubber base. And when I say abominable, I mean abominable. I don't just mean, oh, it sticks just fine to the table. No. It moves around like it's trying to escape my desk. That's how bad, horrible the underside of the mousepad is. Coming from a mousepad like the Lethal Gaming Gear Saturn or the Saturn Pro, which both have similar bases, the Saturn Pro being a little bit more sticky, it just feels really disappointing. It is really, really disappointing to use this mousepad and suddenly, after a couple of flicks, the mousepad is in a completely different spot. What just happened? Why is my mousepad over there now? Is it trying to escape my desk? What's going on? But that's not the worst thing, because on its own, that's not the worst thing in the world. It's how humidity affects this mousepad, or specifically how this mousepad reacts with sweaty hands. You see this deathmatch session that is in the background right now? I actually ended up rage quitting that deathmatch session because I was getting so frustrated with this mousepad because my arm would constantly get stuck to it. And that's an issue with pretty much every single mousepad. Some are worse than others. But this mousepad is just amplified. It's almost as bad as when I hear the reviewers that are reviewing glass mousepads describe that, oh, my arm is getting completely stuck to the mousepad and it's unusable. That's what this feels like. That is what this feels like. And that's why I am so incredibly frustrated with this mousepad. Because it improves upon some of the worst things, some of the worst aspects of the Acro Control Plus, the raised stitched edges of the first version, the abrasive feel of both versions, but it takes the two worst aspects, the things that I absolutely wanted to be being the humidity, the reaction to humidity, and the rubber base, and they did nothing. They did nothing to improve it, which is very, very unfortunate in my opinion. Super, super unfortunate. Because had they fixed these two issues, this mousepad would, honestly, because of how good it feels to use, the stopping power and everything, just the whole feel of it, it might have been my new main. And that also leads me to a last issue, and kind of a glaring issue with Xraypad. You guys need to start making your extra large 490 by 420 millimeters instead of 450 by 400 millimeters. That is the new gold standard. If you look at Padsmith, you look at Artisan, you look at Lethal Gaming Gear, you look at Infinity Mice, you look at Wallhack, you look at some of the other glass pads that I don't remember the name of because I don't really do that many gaming peripherals. I usually stick to pretty religiously to the peripherals that I have. But there are so many, even SteelSeries have started using 490 by 420 millimeters. It just is really, really disappointing. Now, with all of this said and done, I have two last final questions. Would I recommend this mousepad, and would I main this mousepad? Let's begin with would I main this mousepad. The answer is an obvious no. I would not main this mousepad. But in a vacuum, if I were to transition from the Acro Control Plus straight to this mousepad, I would probably be happy with it. I would be a little bit disappointed that the two most annoying issues haven't been addressed whatsoever. The rubber base and the sweat reaction on the mousepad. specifically my arm getting stuck to the pad. But the mouse pad is still great, awesome even. It feels really, really nice to use outside of these issues. So that sort of leans me into whether I can recommend this mouse pad. If the sweat and the rubber base aren't issues for you, if it's not something that bothers you, this mouse pad is really, really good for its value, like amazing for its value, and you are absolutely going to love it. But the moment these things start bothering you, and the same with the size, if the size ends up bothering you, oh, you wanted 490 by 420, but you can't get that, then I would recommend another option. Now, what would I rate this mouse pad out of 10? Just ballpark, just putting it somewhere. I would rate it around an 8 out of 10. I know, that sounds very high, considering how much I just roasted the mouse pad and how much I completely stated my frustrations with the mouse pad. But I still think this mouse pad is amazing, despite these two glaring and annoying issues. So that pretty much sums up the whole video. I want to thank Xraypad again for sending this out. I am beyond grateful and very honored that they would send this out to me for review. It makes me really, really happy. And I would absolutely love to test new products in the future if you ever come out with anything new. But that is it for me. I hope everyone enjoyed what they watched, and I will see everyone in the next video. Take care, everyone, and bye-bye.